I swear, if that smug bastard had said one more word, I would have rearranged his perfect teeth into a crossword puzzle. It was a Friday night I hadn't asked for. My wife, Monica, told me she wanted a serious talk over dinner. Serious talk. Married men know those two words are code for strap in. Son, you're about to get blindsided. I figured it was about bills, maybe her wanting a bigger house, or how I always forget to take out the recycling on Wednesdays. What I didn't expect was to walk into a dimly lit restaurant and see her already seated, across from a guy wearing a tight black shirt that looked painted on. The kind of guy who spends more time in front of a mirror than a mechanic does under a car. Logan, she said sweetly, motioning to the empty seat across from them. This is Chase. You've heard me mention him from work. Oh, I'd heard. Too often. The mentor, the brilliant strategist, the guy who just gets her. Yeah, I knew his resume by heart, thanks to all her casual name drops at dinner. Chase leaned back in his chair, flashing me a grin that could only be described as auditioning for a toothpaste commercial. His arm rested way too close to Monica's hand. I'll make this simple, he said, locking eyes with me like we were in a Western showdown. You've got two options. Leave quietly, or face me like a man. Now let me pause. See, most guys would explode right there. Flip the table. Start a scene. But not me. I just smiled, leaned back, and said calmly, You want your teeth whole, or in pieces? The way his grin faltered was worth the price of admission. Monica's eyes went wide. She hissed, Logan, stop. You're embarrassing me. Embarrassing her. After she'd ambushed me with her gym rat coworker at a restaurant I didn't even want to be at. That's when I knew this wasn't a serious talk. This was a performance. But I wasn't going to give her the drama she wanted. I stood, buttoned my jacket, and said, Enjoy dinner, sweetheart. Order dessert. I'll send the check to the table. And I walked out, calm, collected, and smiling just enough for Chase to wonder what the hell I was planning next. Because make no mistake, I was planning. When I got home that night, the house felt wrong. Not messy, not ransacked, just off. Her perfume still lingered in the hallway. Only it wasn't just hers. There was something else mixed in. Something musky. Male. The bed was made. Perfectly made. Tight corners like a hotel room. Monica never made the bed like that. Ever. I sat down on the edge, staring at the folded comforter like it was mocking me. My knuckles still throbbed from gripping the steering wheel on the drive home. I wasn't angry anymore, though. Anger burns fast and leaves you empty. I was in that other stage, the one where you start connecting dots you didn't even know you had. The late nights at the office. The sudden obsession with yoga classes she never actually seemed sore from. The way she'd laugh at her phone, then tilt the screen away just slightly. Little things I'd been ignoring, chalking up to paranoia. My phone buzzed. A message from Monica. You didn't have to do that. I stared at the words. No apology. No explanation. Just a scolding, like I'd spilled coffee on her favorite rug. I typed back. Didn't have to what? Notice? Then I deleted it. Too easy. Too soon. Instead, I tossed the phone on the dresser and opened the drawer where I kept old receipts, warranty cards, and a small black notebook. I'd started jotting down things I noticed over the past month. Times. Places. Names she dropped too often. Because here's the thing about me. I don't confront unless I've already won. So while she was out thinking she was the puppet master, I was already tugging on the strings. I shut the drawer, leaned back on the bed she'd made so carefully, and whispered to the ceiling, Let's play. The next morning, I didn't mention dinner. I didn't mention Chase. I just made coffee like it was any other Saturday. Monica strolled in wearing one of her effortless outfits, the kind that takes 40 minutes and 3 mirror checks. She kissed me on the cheek like nothing had happened. Big plans today? She asked, sipping from the mug I'd poured her. I smiled. Yeah, going to see an old friend. It wasn't a lie. That old friend was Chloe. Funny thing, Chloe used to be Monica's closest friend. Used to. They'd fallen out years ago. Over what? I didn't know. But Chloe always struck me as sharp, sarcastic, and the type who collected secrets like other people collected stamps. I sent her a text. Coffee? My treat. Her reply came in less than a minute. Old Pine Cafe. Noon. When I walked in, she was already there, hair in a messy bun, tapping her nails on the mug like she'd been waiting years for me to show up. Logan, she said flatly, no smile. Chloe, I nodded. Been a while. She slid her phone across the table without a word. On the screen, Monica. My Monica. At a bachelorette party 2 nights ago, wearing a sash that read bride-to-be. Ironic, considering she'd been married to me for 12 years. Her mouth locked with some guy in a plastic cop hat, his hand halfway up her dress. I stared at the photo. My jaw tightened. Chloe leaned in. You needed to see that before you waste another ounce of loyalty on her. I didn't react. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't yell. I just asked quietly, how many more? She swiped. Picture 2, Monica grinding on the guy's lap, eyes closed. Picture 3, lipstick smeared, her heel dangling from her fingers. She left with him, Chloe added. Your wife thinks secrets stay buried if you smile wide enough. But I don't let people bury me. I looked at her. Why show me this? Her expression softened for just a second. Because you're not stupid. And you deserve to know you're married to one. I leaned back, took a slow sip of my coffee, and said, then I guess it's time to stop playing the fool. And Chloe smiled for the first time all morning. I didn't go home right away after meeting Chloe. Instead, I drove. No destination. Just me, the hum of the engine, and thoughts sharp enough to cut through steel. I wasn't angry anymore. That was the strange part. I should have been boiling, screaming into the steering wheel, maybe even crying. But I wasn't. I was cold. And I've learned that when I get cold, I get dangerous. By the time I pulled back into our driveway, I had a plan. Not a vague idea. A plan. Monica was in the kitchen when I walked in, leaning against the counter scrolling through her phone. She looked up like nothing had happened. Hey babe, how was coffee with your friend? I smiled. Informative. She didn't catch the double meaning. She never did. I walked past her, straight to my office, and shut the door. That little black notebook I'd been scribbling in, it was about to become my Bible. I wrote down everything Chloe had shown me. Dates, times, faces. I added it to what I'd already logged. The late nights, the strange perfume, the sudden gym membership she used twice a month at best. The way she started calling me Logan instead of honey, as if she was practicing emotional distance. After I finished, I pulled out a small lockbox from the closet. Inside was a portable hard drive. See, I'm not the kind of guy who gets blindsided twice. Years ago, after hearing too many stories of friends getting cleaned out in divorces, I started keeping backups. Emails, bank statements, screenshots of shared credit card activity. You name it. And now, I added Chloe's photos to the collection. The first move. The next day, I invited Monica out for brunch. Not our usual spot. No, I picked a little rooftop cafe downtown with white tablecloths and a view of the river. She loved places like that. The kind of spots that made her feel like she was in some lifestyle blog. She showed up dressed to kill. Red dress, hair curled, makeup flawless. She looked like the woman I married, except for the fact that I now knew better. I stood when she arrived, kissed her cheek, and pulled out her chair. She smiled, clearly pleased with herself. You're in a good mood, she said, unfolding her napkin. I chuckled. Why wouldn't I be? I've got the most beautiful woman in the city sitting across from me. Her eyes softened just enough for me to know I'd hooked her. See, Monica thrived on validation. She needed it like air. And I wasn't about to cut off her supply just yet. Not until I was ready. We ordered mimosas. She went on about her week, her co-workers, a team project she was working on that I knew damn well was just a cover for Chase. I nodded, smiled, even asked questions. Then I leaned in. You know, I was thinking we should take a trip. Just the two of us. Europe. Maybe Paris. Her face lit up. Really? Really? I think we could use it. I watched her carefully. For a split second, I saw it, the hesitation, the quick calculation in her eyes. A trip meant less time with her little side project, less freedom to sneak away. But she smiled anyway. I'd love that. I raised my glass. Then it settled. The net tightens. That afternoon, I called Chloe. Tell me what you've got on Chase. She didn't hesitate. Enough to ruin him. He's got a girlfriend, by the way. Sweet girl. Works at a clinic. No idea what he's up to. Give me her number. Logan, are you sure? Dead sure. By the next morning, I had a text thread open with Chase's girlfriend, Lena. I didn't drop the bomb right away. I started with, hey, you don't know me, but I think we should talk. We met at a small diner off the interstate. She was younger than I expected, maybe mid-20s, with kind eyes that looked like they hadn't been hardened yet. When I showed her the photos of Chase and Monica, her face went pale. He told me he was working late, she whispered. Last Thursday. And Friday. I nodded. Yeah, that's his pattern. She stared at the photos a long time before sliding them back. What do you want from me? Nothing, I said. Except the truth. And then, slowly, she gave me details. Times Chase had been working late. Trips he'd taken. Excuses he'd used. I wrote everything down. The puzzle pieces were fitting together perfectly. When we finished, she looked at me with tears in her eyes. What are you going to do? I gave her a small smile. I'm going to make sure they both regret thinking I was stupid. Playing the long game. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the role of the perfect husband. I brought Monica flowers, cooked her favorite meals, even bought her a necklace she'd been eyeing. She ate it up. See, she said one evening, twirling the necklace in the mirror. This is what we needed. A fresh start. I kissed her shoulder. Exactly. What she didn't know was that every time she left the house, I was tracking her phone. Chloe had helped me install an app months ago when Monica first started working late. I knew exactly where she was, and more importantly, where she wasn't. I started gathering receipts. Hotel bookings under Chase's name. Credit card charges that didn't match the stories she gave me. I even got screenshots of text messages Lena forwarded me. By the end of the month, I had a file thick enough to crush both of them in court. But that wasn't enough. See, I didn't just want to win legally. I wanted to win psychologically. The tease of revenge. One night, as Monica scrolled through her phone on the couch, I sat beside her with my laptop. I pulled up photos from our honeymoon, let them slide slowly across the screen. She glanced over, smiling faintly. Wow, we looked so young, she said softly. Yeah, I replied. Back when we trusted each other. She froze. Just for a second. Then she forced a laugh. What's that supposed to mean? I shrugged. Just a thought. And then I kissed her forehead and went to bed. Left her sitting there, clutching her phone like it might explain how much I knew. The seed was planted. She'd start to wonder. Doubt. Fear. And when a liar starts fearing exposure, they make mistakes. I smiled as I closed my eyes. Because the game had just begun. The first sign came at breakfast. It was a Tuesday, one of those mornings where the sun sneaks through the blinds like it's trying to remind you the world keeps spinning whether you like it or not. Monica was sitting across from me, stirring her coffee like it had personally offended her. You're quiet, she said, not looking up. I smiled. Just thinking about Paris. That got her attention. Her head snapped up, eyes wide for a fraction of a second before she caught herself. Already? We don't even have dates. True. But I figured we should pick a week when Chase isn't swamped at the office. Don't you think? Her spoon froze. The smallest twitch crossed her face. If I'd blinked, I'd have missed it. But I didn't blink. She laughed lightly, too lightly. You're obsessed with my coworker. I sipped my coffee. Only because you talk about him so much. She didn't answer. Just went back to stirring. And right there, I knew I had her rattled. Chloe's gift. That afternoon, Chloe sent me a message. You free? We met in her car this time, parked behind a grocery store like we were two high schoolers plotting mischief instead of adults plotting retribution. She handed me an envelope. Surveillance photos, she said. From Lena. Inside were printouts of Chase and Monica walking into a hotel. Same hotel, 2 different nights. Her hand on his arm. His hand on her lower back. Both laughing like they were the only people in the world. I studied them in silence. Chloe lit a cigarette, rolled down the window, and finally said, You're not going to confront her, are you? No. Good. She'd spin it. Lie. Cry. You'd walk away looking like the bad guy. I slid the photos back into the envelope. I'm not giving her that chance. Chloe exhaled smoke through her nose. You're scarier than I thought. I smiled faintly. She wanted a game. I'm just playing by her rules. The poker face. That weekend, Monica came home late from yoga. Her hair was damp, but not from sweat. Her shirt smelled faintly of cologne, not mine. I was sitting on the couch reading the paper. She walked in, kissed my cheek like she always did, and flopped onto the cushion beside me. Sorry, class ran late. I looked up. Did it? Must have been intense. Your instructor wear a lot of men's cologne. Her smile faltered. What? I shrugged, eyes back on the paper. Nothing. Just noticed. The silence stretched long enough for me to count every tick of the wall clock. Then she got up, muttering something about taking a shower. I let her go. No confrontation. No raised voice. Just a reminder that I was paying attention. Because nothing scares a liar more than silence. The bait. 2 days later, I left my laptop open on the kitchen table. On the screen, a folder titled Vacation Plans. Inside, Not itineraries or hotel brochures, screenshots, texts, photos, receipts. I sat in the living room with the game on, pretending not to notice as Monica wandered in, saw the laptop, and froze. She stared at the screen for a good 30 seconds before I cleared my throat. Something interesting? She jumped. Oh no. Just, looking for the Paris file. I smiled without looking away from the TV. Ah, careful. Some of those files aren't for you. Her face went pale. She closed the laptop and mumbled something about making tea. I almost laughed. She thought she'd stumbled across something by accident. She didn't realize I'd left the laptop open on purpose. Because paranoia is like rust. Once it starts, it eats everything. The dinner party. That Friday, we were invited to a dinner party at a mutual friend's house. Monica spent 2 hours getting ready, fussing over every detail of her outfit. I wore a suit, nothing special, just enough to look presentable. Halfway through the evening, one of the guests asked how long we'd been married. 12 years, Monica said with a bright smile, squeezing my hand. Still feels like yesterday. I leaned in, kissed her cheek, and whispered just loud enough for her to hear, "Does Chase know that?" Her smile froze. She covered it with a laugh, but her nails dug into my hand under the table. Later that night, as we drove home in silence, she finally said, "What's going on with you?" I glanced at her. Funny, I was about to ask you the same thing. She didn't answer, just stared out the window, her reflection pale in the glass. The confession that wasn't. The next morning, I found her sitting on the back porch with a glass of wine at 9 a.m. "Rough night?" I asked. She sighed dramatically. "Logan, are you happy?" There it was. The prelude. I knew that tone. That was the tone cheaters use when they want to rewrite history, to make it seem like they were the victim all along. I sat across from her, calm as stone. Happier than Chase. Her head snapped up. "Why would you say that?" I tilted my head. "Why wouldn't I?" She opened her mouth, closed it, then shook her head. "You're being paranoid. Maybe. Or maybe I just know you better than you think." She set the glass down hard enough for the wine to slosh over the rim. "If you're accusing me of something, just say it." I leaned forward, smiling faintly. "Why would I accuse you? I've got nothing to worry about, right?" She stared at me, eyes darting like a cornered animal. Then she stood and stormed inside. I didn't follow. I just sat there, listening to the door slam, and whispered to myself, "Checkmate's coming." The phone call. That night, I got a call from Chloe. "You've got to see this," she said. We met at the same diner. She slid me another envelope. Inside was a photo of Monica and Chase leaving the hotel again. Only this time, Monica was wearing the necklace I'd given her 2 weeks earlier. I laughed. Not bitter. Not angry. Just amused. She couldn't even cheat without accessorizing. Chloe raised an eyebrow. "So what's next?" I tucked the photo into my jacket pocket. "Next?" I let her keep digging. Then I pulled the rug out. The calm before. That weekend, I played the perfect husband again. Flowers. Dinner. Even surprised her with tickets to a play she'd been wanting to see. She lit up like a Christmas tree. On the drive home, she leaned over, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "You really are the best." I smiled at the road ahead. I know, but inside, I was already counting down the days. Because Monica had no idea that the play she'd just watched wasn't the only performance happening that night. I always knew Monica's ego would be her downfall. The woman couldn't resist showing off, even when it was the worst possible move. And sure enough, the slip came on a Wednesday night. She thought I was asleep. I wasn't. I lay there in the dark, eyes closed, breathing steady, while she whispered into her phone, "Yeah, I can't tonight. He's here." A pause. "I miss you too." Another pause, softer now. "Stop, you're terrible." I almost smiled. She still thought I was the fool. When she finally drifted off, phone still warm in her hand, I rolled over and whispered to her sleeping face, "You just made this easier." The bank trail. The next morning, while she showered, I checked our shared credit card account. And there it was, a $212 charge from the very hotel Chloe had shown me in those photos. 2 nights ago. She hadn't even bothered to use cash. I screenshotted it, saved it to the folder. Evidence was piling up faster than dishes after Thanksgiving dinner. The lawyer. That afternoon, I visited a lawyer. Not the kind with a cheap office in a strip mall. The kind who wears suits that cost more than my car and knows every dirty trick in the book. "Mr. Grant," he said, shaking my hand firmly. "What brings you here?" I slid the folder across the desk. "My wife. And her hobby." He flipped through the evidence, nodding occasionally. You've done my job for me. I like to stay one step ahead. He smiled thinly. Then you'll like my plan. We talked for an hour. Custody of the house, protection of assets, alimony leverage. He laid it all out like a chessboard. And every piece, thanks to the file I'd built, was already in my favor. Before I left, he leaned back in his chair. Most men come in here angry. Emotional. You? You look like you're about to enjoy this. I shrugged. I am. Chloe's warning. That night, Chloe called again. You're pushing her too close to the edge, she said. If she thinks you know, she'll try to flip the script. She already is, I told her. But let her try. I've got the receipts. Logan, you're playing with fire. I laughed softly. Good thing I brought marshmallows. The fight she wanted. 2 nights later, she picked the fight. We were cleaning up after dinner when she tossed her dish towel onto the counter and said, You've been different lately. I glanced at her. Different how? Colder. Suspicious. Maybe I just see things clearly now. Her eyes narrowed. Are you accusing me of something? I set the plate down slowly. Not yet. She crossed her arms, her voice sharp. You're paranoid. Always looking for problems that aren't there. Funny, I said calmly. That's exactly what someone guilty would say. Her face flushed. I don't have to put up with this. She stormed into the living room, grabbing her purse. Going to yoga? I called after her. She froze. Didn't answer. Then the door slammed. I let her go, because while she was out pretending to stretch, I was in the office emailing my lawyer the latest screenshots. The call from Lena. The next morning, Lena texted, We need to talk. We met at the same diner. She looked wrecked, dark circles under her eyes, hands trembling as she stirred her coffee. He told me he's leaving me, she whispered. Said there's someone else. Let me guess, I said. My wife. Her eyes welled up. He said she understands him. I almost laughed. Chase, the discount Casanova, claiming he finally found someone who understood him. He didn't know Monica like I did. She didn't understand. She consumed. I slid a napkin across the table. Lena, if you're ready to get even, I've got a plan. She stared at me, hesitated, then nodded slowly. Tell me. The plan. It wasn't complicated. That was the beauty of it. Step 1. Keep feeding Monica just enough attention to make her think she still had me in her pocket. Step 2. Use Lena to set up Chase. Step 3. Pull the trigger when the timing was perfect, when Monica thought she'd won. Because revenge only works if they never see it coming. The perfect bait. The next week, I told Monica I had a business trip. 3 days. Out of state. Her eyes lit up like fireworks. She tried to hide it, but I saw. That's sudden, she said. Yeah, I replied. But it'll give you some time to yourself. She kissed me goodbye at the door, sweet as sugar. I got in my car, drove 2 blocks, parked, and walked back. Chloe had already set up the camera. From my office window across the street, I watched as Chase's car pulled into the driveway an hour later. And just like that, the final piece clicked into place. The note. Before I left that morning, I'd slipped a small note into Monica's nightstand. For words, in my handwriting. I know everything. I didn't sign it. Didn't date it. Just folded it once. Neat and clean, like a knife tucked into velvet. She hadn't found it yet, but she would. And when she did, she'd have no idea how much I really knew or when I planned to strike. The smile. That night, when she thought I was hundreds of miles away, I watched her through Chloe's setup. She laughed. She poured wine. She touched Chase's arm like it belonged to her. I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt entertained. Because she had no clue that while she was giggling on my couch with her gym rat boyfriend, I was already holding the match to the fuse. And when it went off, it wouldn't just burn her little affair to the ground. It would leave her standing in the ashes, wondering how she ever thought she was smarter than me. I leaned back, watching them toast, and whispered, Enjoy it, sweetheart. It's your last good night. She found the note on a Thursday night. I know, because Chloe texted me the second Monica pulled open that drawer and froze. She found it. She's pacing. I didn't need the camera feed to picture it. Monica, clutching that tiny folded square like it was a live grenade, her mind racing through every lie, every cover-up, every stolen hour. That night, she called me 3 times. I didn't pick up. The voicemails came next. Logan, call me back. Please. Logan, this isn't funny. We need to talk. Logan, if you don't answer, I'll. She cut herself off. I let her stew. Nothing drives a liar crazier than silence. The next morning, I came home early from my trip. She was waiting at the kitchen table, hair a mess, eyes bloodshot. "You left me a note," she said flatly. I raised an eyebrow. "Did I?" She slammed it on the table. "This." I glanced at it, shrugged. "Funny. Doesn't look like mine." Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. "Logan, please, let's not do this." I poured myself coffee. "Do what?" Her hands trembled. If you think there's something." I cut her off. "Monica, if there's something you need to tell me, now's the time." She stared at me, lips parted, but no sound came out. And that was her mistake. Because in that silence, she confessed more than words ever could. That weekend, Lena played her part. She invited Chase to a surprise dinner. He bought it, of course. The man was as sharp as a butter knife. While he texted Monica that he'd be working late, Lena and I met in the back booth of the diner. She handed me a flash drive. "His messages," she said softly. "All of them." I plugged it into my laptop later that night. Chase hadn't just been sloppy, he'd been reckless. Explicit texts, hotel reservations, even photos Monica had sent. By the time I was done scrolling, I had everything I needed to prove not only the affair, but premeditated deception. The kind that destroys reputations in courtrooms. The next day, I scheduled a meeting with my lawyer. "This will bury her," he said after skimming through the files. I nodded. "Good. But I'm not done." The performance. The following Friday, I told Monica I'd booked us a table at that same rooftop cafe we'd visited weeks earlier. She lit up, relieved, thinking the storm had passed. She wore the red dress again. I complimented her, held her hand, played the part of the devoted husband. Halfway through the meal, I leaned in and said, "Funny thing. Chase's girlfriend called me today." Her fork froze midair. "She said she misses him," I added casually. "Said she's confused why he hasn't been around much." Her smile cracked. "Why would she call you?" I took a sip of wine. Maybe she thought I'd know. The rest of the dinner was silence broken only by the clink of silverware. And I enjoyed every second. Monday morning, I executed the final step. I left a manila envelope on the kitchen counter, sealed and unmarked. Inside, copies of the photos, the texts, the receipts. I went to work. By noon, my phone exploded. 10 missed calls. 15 texts. Each more frantic than the last. "Logan, please, I can explain. It wasn't what it looked like. We can fix this. Don't do anything stupid." I didn't reply. Instead, I sent a single message. "Meet me at Old Pine Cafe. 6 p.m. alone." She showed up early. I arrived on time. She was pale, hair pulled back, makeup half done like she'd been crying. "Logan, I made a mistake," she said as soon as I sat down. "Several," I corrected. She reached for my hand. I pulled it back. "I love you," she whispered desperately. I tilted my head. "Then why Chase?" Her eyes darted away. He made me feel alive." I laughed softly. "Funny. That's exactly what you just killed in me." She broke down then, tears spilling, begging, promising. It would have been touching if I hadn't already seen her kissing another man in the house I paid for. When she realized I wasn't moved, her tone shifted. "If you leave me, I'll take everything. The house. Half your pension. You'll regret it." I smiled. "Monica, you really should have read the prenup before you signed it." Her face drained of color. "What prenup?" "The one you didn't know existed because you were too busy bragging about how you'd landed a sure thing." She stared at me like I'd slapped her. You tricked me." "No," I said calmly. "You tricked yourself." The real surprise came the next morning. See, I hadn't just built a case for divorce. I'd built a spectacle. At 9 a.m., an email went out. To her boss. To Chase's girlfriend. To our families. To every friend who'd ever believed Monica's carefully polished lies. Attached, the photos, the texts, the receipts. Subject line, the truth about Monica. By noon, her phone was buzzing nonstop. By 2, her boss had called her into the office. By 5, Chloe texted me a screenshot of Monica's social media account deactivated. That evening, she showed up at the house, mascara running, suitcase in hand. "How could you do this to me?" she sobbed. I stood in the doorway, calm as a priest. "Do what?" "Tell the truth." She dropped the suitcase, reaching for me. "Logan, please. I have nowhere to go." I stepped back. "Not my problem." Her tears turned to anger. "You'll regret this." I smiled. "No, Monica. You will." I shut the door, locked it, and for the first time in months, the house felt right again. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee in silence. No perfume that wasn't mine. No lies hanging in the air. Just peace. The cruelest revenge wasn't screaming, or fighting, or even leaving. It was letting her live the rest of her life, knowing she lost the one man who saw through her games and beat her at her own. And that, my friend, was the end of Monica's reign.